This is Behold the Pale Horse by William Milton Cooper. Or Milton William Cooper. I've been saying his name the whole time. I thought it was Bill Cooper, but his first name was Milton. My bad. Okay. Dang, for 23 years though, that is crazy. All right, so look, check it. I've been telling people about what I've read in this book for the past 23 years. Now I'm about to break it down to you and explain to you the reason why I was so against COVID when it came out, when I was so against swine flu vaccine when it came out, and all these vaccinations that they came out with since I had read this book. So let's go. If I'm not mistaken, it's page 444. 444. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Big brother's coming. Let's read this right here. See, in my book, I had this part in the top of that article highlighted. Coded microchips implanted in every person in the country would tie us all into a massive computer that could track anyone down at any moment, and plans for such a system are already underway, whether you like it or not. This is an article from like 1991. Check it. The secret scheme is being touted as a service for the protection of the people by high government officials, but some insiders who object to the move say it's just another way for Big Brother to control its subjects. You see that the page is partially, the letters are not there. Transmitters. Top level national security agents are trying to convince sources in the Bush administration. This is the first Bush administration, too, to begin the project in which every man, woman, and child will be implanted with a tiny transmitter, claims Davis Miloran. My bad, Davis. A critic of government intervention who says he has received leaked information from inside sources. They're trying to say this will be a good way for authorities to quickly track down missing persons and children, as well as criminals and spies. See how they market things to you in order to appeal to that. What I was telling you, what's the greatest motivators of people? It's fear and greed. So that last paragraph was catered to that fear injections. Hot with the astounding No, but my bad. But with the astounding technology of today, everything about you could be contained in one tiny microchip, which would be connected to a government computer. Any government agency will know what any person has done and is doing at any time. Other sources say that the tiny transmitters can be injected painlessly from a tiny gun in humans without them even knowing. Without even knowing it. I think that might say though. Oh no, no, through. Without even knowing it. Through a nationwide vaccination program. That's what that's supposed to say, vaccination program. Will the government okay, so it don't say will, it says all. So let's take it back. Let's take it back to the last paragraph. Let's not interrupt it. All right, so it says other sources say that the tiny transmitters can be injected painlessly from a tiny gun in humans without them even knowing it through a nationwide vaccination program. All the government would have to do is make up something like the swine flu vaccine, Mallorin says. Imagine if they said there was a vaccine for AIDS. People would rush in droves to get shots. The doctors themselves may not even know what they're injecting. They could be told the microchips are genetic implants that reprogram the body into fighting disease. Where did they say that at? Where did they say that? Did they say that about COVID, the vaccination that has nanites in them and all these? Yeah, it's weird. Okay, cool. He adds, the program would require all federal, state, and local government workers to undergo the injections. It would only be a matter of time before everyone is implanted with a microchip, a slave to the government. Man, it's really real out here. They're gonna tell you lies to get you comfortable with accepting all type of weird stuff. where we at in society today is an embarrassing place. It's not only it's detestable, and it's about to get stepped on, and we about to get stepped on along with it. I saw a video the other day where this man, uh, listen, man, I'm gonna call you a man if you a man. It was a man dressed up in women's clothing in a store, and he was yelling at the clerk because the clerk referred to him as sir. And he said, "Call me sir," and he was just getting louder and getting potentially more dangerous. Like, "Call me sir one more mother effing time." Da 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 da. Energy was crazy, and it's like, dude, you are a man though. You know what I'm saying? Because first of all, you got another man scared of you right here. Women ain't gonna go near you if you get like that. You're not one of them. So, dude, like the level of delusion is crazy. People's spirits are in jeopardy because they've accepted the lying spirit. The spirit of lies is ripping through this country, and people just accept it. The delusional behavior. I seen an interview. Yo, no disrespect to Cameron too. Shout out to Cameron and all of them. But let's get back to this right here. Because we gonna highlight the flaws in this thing. You know that we call the street culture. I seen an interview like about 20 years ago. Cameron was being interviewed by Bill O'Reilly, I believe. No, this was the Anderson Cooper interview. So shout out to Anderson Cooper. But he was being interviewed by him, and he was asking him what his stance on the police was. And he said things like, "Well, I mean, if I see him, I say, 'How you doing? How's your day going?' You know." He said it kind of with a smirk on his face too. But then they was like, "Okay, well, if there was a serial killer living next door to you, what would you do?" And Cameron said, "If it was a serial killer living next door to me, I'd probably move." He said, "I'd probably move." And that was wild to me. That's wild because like if there's a serial killer living next door and you move, you're safe, you're in the clear, maybe. But then what about everybody else that live in the neighborhood? And his whole thing was like, well, stop snitching, this, that, and the third. Yo, listen, they gotta throw that out the window because first of all, everybody don't qualify for that. Everybody ain't living their life, and some things you gotta speak up against. Yeah, you need to call the police if a serial killer's living next door to you, freaking idiot. Because if you leave and don't say nothing to nobody, it might not be you, but it might happen to one of your friends or your people's. So you will also be held in God's eyes as accountable for not doing the right thing. And that says there's a verse in the Bible. I gotta get brush up on my stuff. And now we come back full circle. We gotta talk about God because God is coming back and He's not happy with any of this stuff, any of these behaviors. He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for reasons very similar to what He's about to destroy Babylon for. Prophecy is going to be fulfilled. It's happening right now. I don't know if you heard about the news talking about there was an extraterrestrial ship heading towards Earth. They had the original estimated time of arrival was somewhere around November. Then they bumped it up to like I think they said September, right? I don't know what's going on, bro. But I know we shouldn't look to them for the truth. We should also be talking to God and we should be getting ourselves right because I've been getting messages left and right all around me. Matter of fact, not even just recently though. If you really want to be real, it started in 2003 where angels started showing me. They started showing me what the world was going to be like and what certain situations was going to be like. They showed me people. They showed me like the end of the world, but it wasn't like a war. There were angels, and they were coming down from the sky, and there was things that was happening on Earth that people were trying to escape from, and they were trying to repent at the last minute, and it wasn't going in their favor. It wasn't going in their favor at all. And it was such a scary, scary dream. I remember this like 20 years ago, 23 years ago, or something crazy, right? This dream was so dang scary. I ain't never forget it. Then I woke up that day, and my grandmother had died that same day, and that was the third grandparent I had lost in that month of that year. And my last living grandparents, all three of them died in the same month. But on that particular day was when the last grandparent died, the one who raised me, who I saw as my mom. She passed away in January 27, 2003. I was only 17 at the time. And I remember like I had a dream she was in it, and it was like such like when people come to you in your dreams and stuff like that from the other side or whatever, when you see these people, to me, I don't know what your experience is. They've never spoke to me. They usually make you feel things, energies. They can be right next to you, not saying nothing to you the whole time. And in your dream, that's normal. But they'll make you feel something though. So I was feeling like this sense of abandonment and loneliness, and then it was like a terror. Because when I went into my building after I was walking with my grandmother down the street, I made a right turn, and she was supposed to be walking by my side, and she wasn't with me. I felt like if you ever been a child and you ever got lost and you couldn't find your parent and you didn't know what you was going to do if you actually was in that situation before you found your parent to your relief, I felt like that. But I was 17, like I said, I wasn't no kid. I was an adult. You know what I'm saying? So when I went into the building after making that right turn and my grandma disappeared and I got that feeling of like abandonment, I walked into the building that I used to live in and Saddam Hussein was in the lobby of the building. I'm from the projects, bro. So I walk into the projects in my dream, and when you walk in, you come around. There's like a wall where the two elevators are at. So you walk into the building. In that first hallway, there's like a little empty space to the right, and then if you look to your left, it's gonna be like a mailbox that everybody goes to. And then if you make a left and go towards the mailbox, then you would have to make a right to go around that wall that encases the elevators. So you go around that wall, and in the lobby, right there in front of the elevators, right ahead of you, they had people on their knees. There was like three men that was on their knees. Now that I'm talking about it, and they had bags over their heads. It was like a cloth bag, though. It was like a sack. It wasn't a plastic or paper bag. It was a sack, and they had a rope tied around a sack as they were sitting on their knees with their hands tied behind their backs in my building. And Saddam Hussein was in there with his men, and they were beheading men right there in front of the elevator. And I remember right when I seen that, it terrified me, and I woke right up. And that was one of the dreams that I had, where he was showing me many different things, but also told me that somebody that was with me was no longer with me, that they had left that place. It's not the first time he's done this with me. The first time was probably when I was like real little, and I had a dream that one of my brothers passed away, and then one of the other ones passed away. And this is while we were all still kids. So I probably was maybe about 10. Yeah, I was about 10, and I had a dream that, so I'm like 10 at the time, I believe, or 11. I want to say like 11. So I'm like 11. I had a brother that was like 3 years old at the time, and I had another brother who was like 5, 6. He was like 6, 5. So they're like 2 years, two years apart. So if one was 3, the other one was 5. So I had a brother that was 3 at the time, and a brother that was 5, and I was like 10 or 11, right? And I had this dream that my little 3-year-old brother had died. I don't remember what caused him to die, but I just remember being really sad. And I was like, yo, man, because death was always talking to us. At least me, man. Seeing so many funerals and people die before I even turned 10, it was like I was constantly surrounded by death. So I was familiar when death came into the room or in the environment. If he was there and just left, or if he was coming, I knew when he was coming because I can pretty much feel his energy. So that's when I'm going, okay, we need to get up out of here. That's when I tell my friend, yo, bro, listen to what I'm saying, do this. And then when they go, I say go right, they go left, and something extremely bad happens to them. I don't be knowing. I just get this sensation like, yo, we gotta do this right now. This has to happen right now. Nope, no, 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 no argument. Let's do it right now. So, yo, I forgot what I was talking about. Death. Okay, so we talking about death, right? And I was saying like I had a dream about my little brother passing away, and it ended up being the other brother. He was still my little brother, but he was older than the one that I was thinking about that passed away. He was only 6 years old and passed away. I think he was 6. Yeah, my timeline's a little hazy, man. He was 6 when he passed away. He got hit by a car. And I'm just saying, man, I don't really want to be right about this though, but I've been really thinking a lot about God, and I've been like in fear. I've been in a lot of fear, like a lot of. I remember feeling like this when I was a child, and my dad used to talk to me about God. You know, he was like, "Listen, you got to get your soul right. Hell is for real. It's forever. This is what God wants. Whoop de whoop whoop. This is what's gonna happen to you if you disobedient." And I mean, he was laying it down heavy in ways that other people wasn't, because they wasn't discerned. They wasn't familiar with the Bible. They didn't read it or care about it enough to familiarize themselves to the point of evangelism. But my dad did. He evangelized every chance he get with us, with me and my brothers, who were not his children for the most part. I only had one brother from my dad, and that was the one who I was thinking was going to pass away, and it ended up being one of my mother's sons. So my dad was one of those people who really actually had a relationship with God. He read the Bible front to back like twice. He told me and all of his kids, quote unquote, about God. He made sure that we knew who God was. We went to church. He drugged us in the church. He got us baptized and all of that, which I need to do again. And that's the man he was. He led his family towards salvation. He made some mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We all do. But he let his kids know who God was and have a relationship with him. And that's important because, like I said, it's getting around that time. It's getting around that time. It ain't gonna be nothing that you could do. Absolutely nothing. God is on his way. He is on his way back right now. It is. We are in the last seconds. The last seconds. And I just want to read something because I was like reading this and I'm starting to understand it now. If you got family members or any friends or any people in this world that you are beefing with, knock it off. Practice forgiveness. Knock that off right now. Practice forgiveness. If you don't forgive, you are not going to see the inside of the gates of heaven. You're going to hell. You're going to that godforsaken place, and it's dark and it stinks down there, and there's gnashing of the teeth, and there's screams, and there's flames that's 20,000 times hotter than the fires on this earth, and there's demons down there that take on the forms of the most grotesque thing that you've ever seen, the most terrifying thing you've ever seen, that you'll never want to be in front of. And the darkness in itself is a living, evil entity. Some has even said that it is so thick you could take handfuls of it. You don't want to go there. There's no returning from that place. Once you're there, you're damned for eternity. Make no mistake, we are eternal, but we have to spend eternities in a place, right? And what you do here in this body is going to determine where you go. Just imagine, like, there's going to be a time when you're going to be in a room and somebody's going to read every sin you did, everything that you had did, not just the negative, but like the positive too. But just that right there in such detail, that is, it's not a game, bro. It's not as easy as like some of these fake Christians is trying to make it seem like you could be gay and you can get married to a man and you can go to heaven. They shouldn't even be doing that in the church. So God says that those people are going to get punished like 12-fold. But it's bro, it's heaven, like heaven and hell is real. Hell is not what you think it is. They try to like make cartoons and little comic strips and little things like that. Like people, from what I've heard in all testimonies about this place, there is no break. You don't get a second. You don't get a moment to yourself. This ain't a Snickers commercial. That is eternal. It's eternal and it don't end. It don't end, bro. They said like they saw Michael Jackson down there getting whipped and having fireballs thrown at him while he's screaming and crying because he had used charms to get people to like and listen to his music, and he never glorified God with his platform, as many of them don't. They actually sign contracts sometimes that even tells them that they can't say Jesus. I heard that that's the new Rock Nation model. I was bumping that Clips album, Let God Sort It Out. As much as I like that, I'm not listening to that no more. In fact, I don't want to hear nothing that comes out of Rock Nation. Jay Z is the devil. He's definitely a devil, and he already told you when he first came out that he used to pray to God. But he never prayed to God. He prayed to God. That's what he said. And this is on his freshman album, coming out the gate already disrespecting God. Now I'm gonna do my research and find out how many more rappers, and if not just rappers, musicians in general, that disrespected God in their music, especially in their first works of art, because that speaks volumes. That tell me what the criteria was for them to get to where they got. Because I've been really listening lately, and I've been asking questions like, why are these rappers so disrespectful to God? You're his people, and these rappers are saying things and mocking God, mocking him, mocking God, bro. Like you're not going to heaven. You're not going to heaven at all. At all. They're mocking God, bro. I heard Conway the Machine said that he'll smack one of these niggas with, excuse my language, but he said he'll smack one of these niggas with the hands of Christ at one point in time. He said my neck looked like I just pulled off the Ladenza heist. Yeah, that's a cool bar and all of that, bro. But that's wildly crazy to me. And I was like, yo, there's no shortage of people making statements like this throughout hip hop. And it's not only just hip hop. You don't have to be talking about gangster stuff. The fact that you got this platform, you're not using it to bring people towards God. You keep on telling them about and preaching about things that's causing them to practice more sin. You're leading them to the hellfire. And let's see what the Bible has to say about leading people to the hellfire, because there is definitely a statement in there. Everything was covered in the Bible. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, this has been going on forever. Forever. It ever. Yes. A place of punishment for those who reject God, often depicted with imagery of fire and torment. It's presented as the ultimate consequence for sin and a place of eternal separation. Oh my God, I said it, eternal separation from God. You don't want to be separated from God. Take a deep breath right now. Feel that right there? That was air going into your lungs. It inflated and it blew out. You got that right there just because of God. You're looking around your room or wherever you're at, and you can see things because of God. Your eyes don't have to ever adjust to pitch black darkness because of God. You have a moon in the sky at nighttime. Nighttime, I see diamonds in the sky. Daytime, I see sunlight shining bright. If I'm alive, how can I not testify of your love, your love, your love? Shout out to Eshawn Burgundy. You got all of these things going on in the sky right before you to let you know who God is and what He's capable of, and people under the sun still doing these wicked, wicked things, but have no fear. Even you can receive salvation. But if you continue practicing in your sin and being disobedient and allowing other people to walk in that path, you don't have to be doing it in order for you to be held accountable. If you see somebody doing something that's going to lead them to a certain situation, you should be speaking up, because the Bible says that He'll hold that against you. You'll be accountable for that. So all those people that be like trying to save face and they don't be saying nothing, or even worse, the people who don't say nothing to back up those who do say something. That's like a double coward to me. It's like when Christ was telling all His disciples that surely they were gonna denounce Him when the time came, and you had the one guy was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And when the time came, he denounced Christ 3 times. So it's like that. So lead into the hell. Now that wasn't answering the question. Let's see if it does answer. It's presented as the ultimate. Okay. Different passages use various terms like Gehenna, lake of fire, and furnace of fire to illustrate this concept. Key points from the Bible regarding hell: place of judgment, eternal punishment, consequences of sin, various descriptions. Devil and demons. Hell is also described as a place prepared for the devil and his angels, not for all. It does tell you that those who said, in order for you to see the gates of heaven, you would have to liken yourself into a child. And the way I took that was you got to be obedient because that's what children are known for, obedience. At least they should. Disobedient children go to hell too. So that's why it's your job as a parent for you to raise your kid right. Because I've heard people say that they've seen 12-year-olds, little young children in hell. So not for all. The Bible suggests that hell is not the ultimate fate for everyone, as those who accept Jesus Christ are promised salvation and eternal life. There's so much more to it than that, though. There's so much more to it. You can't be hating people. You can't have unforgiveness in your heart. You can't be judging people. You can't be beating up people, hurting people, lying to people, misleading people. You can't be sleeping with men's wife in your mind. You can't be undressing women that are married in your mind. You can't even marry or date, and definitely not fornicate with a woman who is divorced because you committed adultery. Women that got divorced due to infidelity or fornication, as the Bible put it, you are basically looked at as damaged goods and shouldn't be touched by nobody. And if you were a follower of God, then you would make sure that other people would know about it and that you would never practice any fornication. But that's not the way of the world that we live in today. The Christians then told you you can get a divorce, which has always been a thing, but there's very extreme circumstances in which the divorces were allowed. So the Christians have told you you could divorce left and right. It became the biggest business in America. Divorce. The divorce lawyers have been winning for a long time. It's a business built for parasites. But you're not supposed to be marrying nobody that was divorced. You're not, a woman. You're not supposed to be marrying a woman that was divorced by her husband because she cheated on him. He fornicated. To the man that deals with her, he's committing adultery. To her, she's committing adultery. It's no different than if she was married. Only she's basically damaged goods and she's damned. She's like rejected at this point. The husband on the receiving end of this infidelity could remarry. Now will be one of the exceptions to the whole adultery thing when it comes to marrying new spouses. What is real is really real. Now they talk about Matthew here. I'm already in Matthew, and I was reading it myself and enjoying what I've been reading. And if y'all still with me, then y'all been enjoying what y'all been hearing, and you probably want to hear what this has to say. And I hope so. It says, "Verily unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven." So that means practicing obedience and listening. You can't come in as a know-it-all. A child isn't a know-it-all. Like, you gotta really be receptive and you gotta listen and you gotta be obedient. If you can't be obedient to God's laws on the earth, He is not gonna open up the gates of heaven for you to enter, and then you'll be in that other place. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Last night when I was reading this, I said, what is a millstone? Because this is not something I'm familiar with. Look at that image right there. Let me reread this verse to you now that you've seen this. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he would drown in the depths of the sea. Whoa, that hanging from your neck. Look at that thing. Imagine if imagine if your neck can fit through that hole and it was around your neck and you got tossed in the sea. Oh my God. He said that it's better. That would be a better fate for you than what's going to happen to you if you offend any of his children. And that would be the believers, the obedient ones, the ones that's going out there spreading the word and doing the work and all of that. If you offend them in any type of way, this is what he said your fate's going to be. So if you got some people out there trying to spread the word of God in a certain neighborhood, some shots ring out and one of them die or something like that, the person responsible for that, oh my God, man, there's levels to this. There's levels. There ain't no easy living at any point, anywhere within the depths of hell, but there are harsher punishments. Let me say that again. There is no easy living in the depths of hell anywhere, but there are harsher punishments. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. So it's no doubt that things going to happen. But if you're the one that's affecting this negative change and you're leading people to the hellfire, you're responsible for people dying, people, suffering and stuff like that, woe unto you. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off, cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. That verse was fire. And it's like, yo, for real, you would be better off just chopping that whatever part. Remember that movie Idle Hands? There was a movie with Vivica Fox and Seth Rogen was in it. No, Seth Green. I meant Seth Green was in it, and I don't remember the other actor's name, and I'm not going to not forget these guys. But the movie had a hand. This dude cut off his hand because the hand was just doing whatever it wanted, and he had no control. The hand was trying to kill him. His own hand on his body was trying to kill him, like choke him out and all of that. His left hand, I believe it was the left hand. And so at some point in time, he cut the hand off. Unbeknownst to him, the hand starts having a life of his own, starts traveling on its own, trying to kill them and stuff, jumping across the room, trying to choke him out, choke him and Vivica Fox out. And that verse made me think of that. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with one eye rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire. Once again, another fire verse, and that's self-explanatory. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. He's letting you know that the angels that has been assigned to those who do obey God, his children, are the ones that deal directly with the Most High. And that speaks volumes because that just tells you that punishments will be greater. It'll probably happen way faster if anything was to come, any harm was to come to these people. For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. He came to save them, not you. If you're practicing sin and you have no regard for God or his law, y'all can get the whole savior concept out your mind. Because when he comes, he's going to smite you with a sword. He's coming to destroy you. How think ye, if a man have 100 sheep and one of them gone astray, does he not leave the 99 and go off into the mountains and seek if that which is gone astray? So is he not going to try to recover what has been lost to him, that one sheep that had went astray? And if so, be it that he finds it, verily I say unto you, he rejoiceth more of that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. So it's not, that's not the will that any harm should come to them, that they should perish. And by perish in this sentence, they're talking about hell. They should never see hell fire. It is not the will of the Father for these people that has been obedient and have been living righteous and godly to ever see the gates of hell. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. So go tell him, man. Like if he did something to hurt you, your brother, you don't turn your back on him and you don't go, I'm not gonna forgive him. Don't practice unforgiveness. You go and tell him what he's done to you. And if he hears you out, then you have a good brother. You have a brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it into the church. But if he neglects to hear the church, let him be until thee as an heathen man and a publican. Leave him on his path, because you don't go to heaven with unforgiveness in your heart. You've already done everything that God wanted you to do. You went there and tried to speak to him, and he didn't hear you out. So you brought some other witnesses with you. He didn't want to listen to you guys. And then you got the church involved, and he didn't even want to hear that. So at this point in time, you can no longer, you should no longer, and no longer will be held accountable. Because like I said, there is that thing in the Bible where it says, like, if you're seeing people sin or do stuff like it's going to lead to their eternal suffering, you're supposed to speak up, or else you'll be held accountable. But this is at that point where God releases you from that accountability. It says, "Verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be lost in heaven." So if you have a bond with a person, a soul tie, everybody that you know and that you know, and your family, people that you know and that you hold dearly, those are soul ties, and you have to break them when you leave. People who die, they also have to deal with that because they losing everybody that they love too, and then the people that's living, they're losing that person. So it says, like, if this person was lost to you while you were living on earth and you go to heaven, they're not going there. And it's crazy because, like, it tells you, it breaks it down. It says, like, you're supposed to have forgiveness. Okay. Again, I say unto you that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But forasmuch as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and his children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. So, in case you didn't get that, he had a slave, and the slave owed him like 10,000, and he didn't have none of that to pay him. So, in order for him to receive recompense for which he lost, he actually was going to sell the slave, his whole family, and everything he owned. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped them, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Now, it's important for you to understand that in this context, Lord is not talking about the Most High. In a lot of contexts in the Bible, it's not talking about the Most High. Lord is the ruler. He's the person that you would probably call your boss. In this time, they refer to it as the Lord, right? Landlord. That's one of the only titles right now where the word Lord is not as archaic as it seems in most concepts when you're not talking about the Most High. So then the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion and loosed him and forgave him the debt. So he had compassion when he said, Oh Lord, please, I'll pay you back everything now. Oh, you just be patient with me. He felt bad. God softened his heart. God softened this man's heart. And because of that, he was able to get out of his indentured servitude. So he loosed him and forgave him of the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owest. Man, what changed, man? Tell me what changed. Just read that last verse, bro. And I know you probably done seen in your head an image of somebody getting snatched up and yoked up and say, Yo, where my bread at, man? What changed? What has changed about people from that time up until now? And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. This is the same guy who just received mercy from his Lord, the one that was above him, that he owed a way even more tremendous debt to. On top of that, he wouldn't even forget this guy. What is that like? 0.1% or something like that of 10,000. So he wouldn't even forgive this guy for 0.1%, 0.01% of the debt that he owed to his master. So this is what happened. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry and came and told unto their Lord all that was done. So they snitched on him. Yeah, they rat him out because they saw what he went through, and they saw him not provide that same compassion and kindness to the person that he could have done that same favor for. Then his Lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desiredest me. Shouldst not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? Alexa, turn off. Stop. No, be quiet. Alexa, shut up. Alexa, shut up. Anyway, then his Lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt because thou desiredest me. Shouldst not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? So, in words that I shouldn't have to repeat, but shouldn't you have had the same amount of compassion that I've shown you towards this other person? And his Lord was wroth and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. So he's saying, in a roundabout way, I showed you forgiveness. I forgave you, and I lifted you up. And you had the ability to do that for another, and you did the opposite. So now, all the blessings that I gave you before, I'm taking them back, and I'm gonna send you to a place of torment. And this is exactly what he knew he was going to have to face before he even repented to his Lord. But then he proceeded to commit a sin right after that. He committed a sin. He struck this guy. He put his hand on his neck and told him, "You need to pay my money or else." Like, and he struck him. Like that's not what happened to him when he owed his Lord 10,000. You understand what I'm saying? And I could read this Bible all day, but these next moments I'm gonna take to myself. I just wanted to like share some of these things with you. Every time I get done recording these videos and stuff like that, I'm going, what else could I have said? Oh, I forgot to say this, that, and the third. And then it's like, hindsight is 2020, and then you figure out all these different things that you want to throw in the conversation that you didn't throw into the conversation. But I think that for the most part, what I'm saying is complete. And I just want to say this verse, it spoke to me so much because I'm dealing with this right now in my family, where I got people that's not dealing with me for whatever reason. In God's eyes, it's never acceptable for you to turn your back on people because of unforgiveness. You're supposed to speak these things out with people, reconcile, and forgive. You're not supposed to say you forgive, but I'm not messing with you. That's not forgiveness. If things is different now because of how you feel, then you have not truly forgiven that person. You ever been in a relationship and got cheated on, and a person tell you that they're sorry, but they keep on doing things that led to that experience? Like, if you were ever like one of those people that stood with the person who cheated on you, and then you start seeing certain characteristics pop up again, like lying, little things like that, and then you start calling it out, like, hey, look, this is what happened last time, and this is what led up to that ultimate event. I'm not messing with this. The person who's doing these things are gonna gaslight you, and they're gonna tell you like how you're tripping, you're insecure. This right here is making me not want to kick it with you like that. Like, do everything that's like take the knife and stick it inside you and twist it to make it seem like it's your fault, but it's not your fault. It's like, but if you ever dealt with that though, that's what that's like. It's it's a whole lot to know about this, and that's why God wants you to get right, and you got to really dedicate your time to doing these things, because when it's all said and done, there ain't gonna be no coming back. There's no reemergence from hell. There is none of that. You are separated from God for eternity. When I say separated from God, we already talked about that, right? So we understand the concept of what God brings to our life and what He brings to our reality. There's a flip side to that. For everything that you get from God is going to be the opposite from the devil. You get air here when you breathe. Like I told you, take that deep breath. You breathed in air, oxygen. There's none of that in hell. I heard people are dry heaving like, and like I hear like people are like they're gnashing their teeth because they're in so much pain. I hear that when you leave your body, you have no limitation on what you feel and sense. So, like the human body will pass out if you experience a certain amount of pain. There's none of that when you leave your body. So, if you in hell getting hit with that brimstone and that fire 20,000 times hotter than the earth's fire, you're experiencing every bit of that pain. And it doesn't stop. I want you to understand that. And I understand it. So, I'm living in fear right now. And it's healthy. It's a healthy fear. Fear of the Most High, not the fear of man, fear of the Most High. And I'm learning every day to overcome every fear that I have of man and put that fear where it needs to be. All fears that's not associated with the Most High are negative. He did not give us a spirit of fear. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, you should still have a healthy fear of the Lord. But there's a feeling that we get when we know that we've done the right thing. That's what you should be living with. You shouldn't be living with the terrifying fear of going to the hellfire because every day you want to practice disobedience. And it's very meticulous. It's not like how these people are trying to make you think, bro. You don't get to fucking excuse my language. Oh my god. You don't get to like be gay. You don't get to be in no gay marriage and go to heaven or having sexual immoral thoughts or experiences. God hates dalliance. He don't like fornication and dalliance. You know, casual one night stands or hooking up with people left and right. That's dalliance. He don't like that. He hates sin. He hates that. So it's your responsibility to make sure you understand and learn what God's law is and try to live it out to the fullest. And it's also your responsibility for you to like let people know what's going on right now and tell them the truth because God is coming back. And if you got people that you say that you love and they're practicing a certain lifestyle and you're like close enough to them to say something, if you're close enough to them to reach out and touch them, you better say something because something else is going to touch you. We don't want that. It's really that serious, man. It really is. You can't be hating people. You can't be judging people. You can't be lying to people. You can't have no type of ill intentions. You can't be stealing. I can't stand steal like thieves. Like you can't be stealing from people. Just anything like that is very specific. Very specific. If you got family members that you love and people that you're not talking to, go fix it. Contact them or the people that you need to get in touch with to get a hold of them because both of you guys' salvation is on the line. It is. It really is. I'm gonna say this last thing, and this is like in relation to some stuff that's going on in my family. I got a cousin who they got into it with her mom's Thanksgiving, beat her mom's up real bad, and like I jumped in to get her off her mom. She ended up striking me a few times. I couldn't see for like 2 weeks because she like cut my eye. But the mom went over there and hung out, with her grandkids, and really didn't really say things was like fixed between her and her daughter. And she said, in fact, she didn't even apologize. The daughter didn't even apologize for what she had did to the mom, but the mom and her mom. So 3 generations now. So my cousin, her mom, they've been showering this girl with gifts and support in any way that they can help her out. And the girl has never apologized, even to this day. I went over there to her house and she had 2 gifts where we would normally where they would normally put their Christmas tree. She had two gifts over there, and I'm like, you better give that to them before they outgrow it or whatever. And it's just weird because like, how could you have your mom and your grandmother supporting you the way that they support that girl in the wake of you doing such nasty things that led you to go to jail, things that you know you shouldn't have been doing in the first place, putting your hands on your mom. That's a big no no. It's a big no no. God God will send you to hell for that. Like, don't ever put your hands on your parents. And that's the reason why I try to protect my cousin. And I was like trying to protect both of them. Like, look, you don't need to be doing that because that's going to get you sent out of here faster than later. But people like that, they practice a godless lifestyle and they think that makes them exempt from the punishments that people who don't listen and don't practice obedience to God experience. But it doesn't. You can't hide behind the bravado of music, the bravado of your crew, your image, none of that stuff. Anything that you want to glorify, you can't hide what's going to happen to you at the end of the line. You can't hide behind that. And that's exactly what people be trying to do. Nah, man, I ain't trying to hear all that. I'm not even trying to hear all that, bro. Put that on. Put this on. Nah, man, turn that down, bro. We trying to hear this. We ain't trying to hear that. All of that stuff is not going to help you. When you see that sky open up, and you see all them, when you see all them angels coming down, and you start seeing the world like get on their knees, all that tough guy stuff you was talking about, you was going to shoot somebody just a second ago. You were going to shoot somebody and commit an act of murder. And when you see that sky open up and them horses come down and the angels with the wings and stuff, and you start seeing them, and there's so many of them, and you see the world, 8, 9 billion people on their knees, on their knees, asking and begging God for forgiveness, it's gonna be too late, bro. All that tough stuff people be talking. I was listening to this. I wasn't listening to it, but because I was at somebody else's house, they started playing this song, and this rapper was talking super viciously. He was talking crazy. I'm talking like mad evil, bro. And the way my brain processes this stuff now is different than how I used to. I see everything in black and white now. I see it in terms of good and evil, right? And I'm listening to. I'm like, man, first, I don't want to even be hearing this because we gotta protect our ourselves and watch our portals because our ears is a gateway, our eyes is a gateway to our soul, and what we hear, what we're listening to, what we're watching, all of that factors in. This guy is talking super crazy. I mean, crazy, crazy. So I'm just like listening to it. But I'm like, yo, bro, he was spitting though. It's just too bad that everything he said was 100% wicked, like super continuously wicked. Talking about shooting people and doing this and that and the third, and bullets gonna rip through your spine. They gonna this, that, and the third. But you could tell he mean it. He really meant it in his voice. You could tell he meant it in his soul. You could tell he really means that. You understand what I'm saying? When people be talking about, yo, when I catch you, ooh, that ooh part is just the part that they can't explain because that ooh is what they want to do to you. And God understand. He sees that in your spirit, bro. So you don't have to say a word for him to know that your heart and that just every thought you got in your mind is continuously wicked. Your feet keeps running towards evil. And he had words for those too. People whose feet is always running towards evil. Look at what happened with King Von, um, Quando Rondo's cousin. People like that are in those situations because they constantly want to be next to the person who's who. But that come with a lot of stuff too. Constantly running towards evil. You running towards this this person who's participating in this evil craft, getting paid from Satan. You want a piece, you got your hand out, and anything they tell you to do, you down to do it. In fact, you probably gonna do it worse and do it more than anybody else over there so that you can get favor from him. It don't matter what he tell you to do. He tell you go murder one of his ops and you'll go do it. In fact, you'll do it, you'll be proud, And it's like you're constantly running towards evil. And those are the things that he sees in your heart, sees in your soul, the things that, lead us to that place. I've been doing this for an hour now, just sitting here talking about this. I'm a little tired, I'm not gonna lie. And, it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to process, and I just hope that I just hope that there will be an increase in the amount of people that will be allowed into the gates of heaven through people like myself. I don't ever want to go to hell. I don't ever want to go to hell. I'm scared. I don't want to go to hell. I really don't, bro. And I'm sick of myself. I'm tired of being the way that I am. Like I gotta change. I need a deliverance. Last night, I made a vow not to do no more drugs, no more cigarettes, no more alcohol, nothing. Last night, I made some really strong moves and stuff. I prayed in an environment. I prayed while I was in an environment that I'm normally overpowered by demons within. You go to some people's houses, they allow different things in their homes, and I went to this place, and I'm always overpowered by the demons there, and I found myself in the moment of weakness. But God came and got me up out of there, and he also used me as an instrument. So he allowed it to be a fruitful mission for me, even though I was really disappointed in myself, and I had to pray and repent and ask God to forgive me. But I definitely dropped off this seed for my cousin, who's I think he's starting to understand it too. Like now I'm about to wrap this up though. For anybody listening though, I really want to know what y'all think about this, especially if you're involved with your church. I'm on my own journey. I'm on my path. I don't have time to keep reaching out to people and checking to see what they're doing in their life. All I can do is let them know about what I know at the time when it's relevant. Like me and my cousin, we had a heart to heart talking about God, and we was talking about all these different things and stuff. And he seemed genuinely concerned. He's always been interested too, because like a few months ago, I had a conversation with him and one of his friends, and I was just telling his friend like a lot of stuff because his friend was a liar, and he was gay, and he was basically hellbound. Like that's the best I could say about him. And so I'm telling this guy stuff, and he's like making up his own hearsay, and I'm just like, nah, man, don't do that. That's nasty work right there, because God hates that too. In fact, at this point in time, God loves you, but the way you're living your life, He hates you too at this time. So it could go either way for you. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just like let people know. I'm gonna keep on reading though. Hope everybody make the right decisions. Stay blessed. Don't let stress get the best of you. And try to just always be in mind that devil is out here working, and he ain't never gonna stop. Just like hell don't stop. He ain't never gonna stop. So when you're feeling low, you're feeling down, any type of negative emotion that might even cause you to want to hurt yourself, remember that these demons are whispering in your ears, and they're telling you lies because they want you to die, and they want to capture you in your sin. They're like sin photographers. They want to capture you while you're actually in the act of doing the sin, so that becomes your eternity. You're forever captured in that moment, like a photo. And with that being said, I'm out.